The sun had barely risen, casting a soft golden glow across the dew-kissed lawn when I glanced out my kitchen window and spotted the matte black silhouette of my Bearcat parked in the driveway. Steam curled lazily from my coffee mug as I watched a tow truck maneuver cautiously, its reverse lights blinking in the early dawn. In that fleeting, quiet moment, my old instincts stirred. Years spent scanning city streets for trouble before most folks had even poured their first cup. Old habits die hard, they say, and this morning was about to prove it in spades. The tow truck driver hopped out, his boots crunching on the gravel as he circled my vehicle, confusion etched deep into his furrowed brow. His hand traced the reinforced ballistic glass, then slid down to the run-flat tires that had carried me through more danger than most could fathom. He fumbled for his phone, probably to call dispatch for guidance on the beast he'd been sent to haul. Then I saw her, Karen Patton, our ever-vigilant HOA president, stationed across the street, her arms crossed, and that smug smile of hers sharp enough to curdle fresh milk. The driver scratched his head, peering at the blast-resistant undercarriage and heavy-duty winch points, clearly wondering what kind of monster he'd been tasked with moving. I set my coffee down, the ceramic mug clinking softly against the counter, and felt the familiar weight of my badge in my hand. Some introductions can't be avoided, no matter how much you'd rather stay out of the fray. The driver's expression shifted from confusion to pale concern the moment he saw me approaching, credentials raised. Karen's grin faltered, twitching at the corners. She hadn't realized she'd just tried to tow a decommissioned SWAT armored response vehicle, owned by a man who'd spent 20 years in the Metro Police Department's tactical unit. My name is Jake Morrison. 3 months ago, I stepped away from the Special Weapons and Tactics Division after 2 decades of high-stakes operations, late-night call-outs, and moments where split-second decisions meant life or death. I traded the adrenaline for what I thought would be a quieter life, choosing Maple Grove Lane, a tree-lined street with neatly trimmed lawns, kids shooting hoops in driveways, and neighbors who waved without needing your entire backstory. The house was nice, but the driveway sealed the deal. See, when I retired, the department offered me my assigned vehicle at a steep discount. Most guys let theirs go, eager to shed the weight of the job. Not me. The Bearcat, 8 tons of armored steel, ceramic plating, and bulletproof glass, had been my second skin, shielding me on days when the world could have ended differently. It was fully legal, properly registered, insured, and repainted from tactical green to a muted matte black so it wouldn't scream cop to every passerby. At first, Maple Grove Lane felt like the fresh start I'd hoped for. Neighbors would stop by, curious about the armored truck parked in my driveway. I'd share a few war stories, let them tap the thick glass that could shrug off rifle rounds, or explain how the run flats kept us moving even after a spike strip. Most thought it was downright impressive, a relic of a life few could imagine. Kids especially loved it. The Henderson boys down the street begged to climb inside, their eyes wide with wonder. Then came Karen. She showed up one Tuesday morning, clipboard in hand, dressed like she was headed to a corporate board meeting despite the summer heat. She introduced herself as HOA president, her tone carrying an edge that made me wonder if she expected me to salute. Her eyes kept darting to the Bearcat, and before long, she laid it out plain. She called it an eyesore, a hulking reminder of violence that had no place in her vision of pristine suburbia. I calmly explained it was legally registered, no different from the RV park 2 houses down or the boat 3 doors over. She wasn't convinced. She left, muttering about checking the bylaws, her heels clicking sharply on the pavement. That night, I pulled out the HOA bylaws and read every line. Nothing about trucks, armored or otherwise. Nothing about large vehicles. The only rule was that vehicles had to be operational and not stored on blocks. The Bearcat was as road-ready as the day it rolled off the lot, maintained with the same care I'd given it during my SWAT days. But Karen didn't let up. Soon, letters started arriving, stuffed in my mailbox like unwanted junk mail. One claimed the Bearcat scared neighborhood kids, never mind the Henderson boys who'd asked for a tour just the day before. Karen took to roaming the street like a hawk, smartphone in hand, snapping photos of my driveway at dawn and dusk. A trio of board members, her loyal posse, began clustering on the sidewalk, shaking their heads in practiced unison, as if they'd rehearsed the disapproval. Then came the citations: improper parking, despite the Bearcat sitting squarely in my driveway, violations of aesthetic harmony, a rule that didn't exist in the bylaws, and a complaint about the vehicle's weight, which, at 16,000 pounds, was still lighter than some of the RVs clogging the street on game days. I contested every citation, and each was dismissed. When Karen claimed it was a commercial vehicle, I produced DMV records showing it as personal property. When she called it a weapon because of its armor, my lawyer pointed out that airbags technically use explosives too, yet no one was towing minivans. Still, Karen wasn't finished. One morning, I woke to the low growl of a diesel engine. Peering through the blinds, I saw a Riverside towing flatbed backing into my driveway, its driver flipping through a clipboard, visibly puzzled by what he was about to haul. No notice taped to my door, no letter in the mail, no courtesy call, just the hiss of hydraulics and Karen across the street, filming with her phone, probably dreaming of her crowning moment. I checked my security camera feed. The tow truck had been there since 6:15 a.m., the driver circling, searching for something to latch onto. The Bearcat wasn't built for easy towing. Its mounting points were designed for tactical equipment, not standard winch cables. When the driver tried anyway, his truck's engine whined, rear wheels lifting slightly off the ground before he gave up, shaking his head. I slipped on a shirt, grabbed my badge, and stepped outside. The driver's confusion turned to apology the moment he realized what he'd been sent to tow. I told him I wasn't angry at him, just the misinformation that had landed him here. Karen, still recording, strutted over, chin high, declaring the Bearcat an abandoned vehicle in violation of HOA rules. I pointed to the valid registration sticker, explained I drove it daily, and told her this wasn't over. I called my former department, and within 15 minutes, Officer Janet Rodriguez pulled up in a patrol car. Janet, once my trainee and now a seasoned officer, reviewed my paperwork, the registration, insurance, all in order, then turned to Karen. Her voice was calm but firm. HOA rules don't override state vehicle codes. Arranging a tow for a legally parked, registered vehicle was harassment, possibly even attempted theft under the law. Karen's smugness melted away, her face paling as Janet laid out the consequences. The tow truck driver, meanwhile, noticed his winch cable had stretched under the strain of 16,000 pounds of armored steel. He announced he'd be sending someone a bill and held up the work order. Karen's signature scrawled at the bottom. Her attempts to deflect responsibility fell flat. Janet issued her a citation for harassment and false reporting. Riverside Towing followed up with an $800 invoice for the damaged cable and promptly blacklisted her from future service calls. That evening, the neighborhood buzzed as an emergency HOA meeting filled the community center to capacity. Word had spread fast, and the room was packed with curious residents. Bob Hutchinson, the treasurer and a retired accountant, broke down the potential cost of a lawsuit if I chose to pursue one. Legal fees that could cripple the HOA's budget. Linda Chun, the secretary, read aloud the long list of Karen's dismissed citations, each one a testament to her overreach. Tom Bradley, a board member who'd always seemed uneasy with Karen's crusade, spoke openly about her pattern of bullying, recounting how she'd pressured neighbors over everything from lawn ornaments to mailbox colors. The vote to remove Karen as HOA president was unanimous. Her mouth opened and closed, searching for words, but all she could muster was an accusation of betrayal against the board. Bob, ever the quiet voice of reason, responded, "Harassment isn't a neighborhood value worth defending." The meeting ended with Karen ordered to repay the HOA's legal costs, estimated at $3,000. She stormed out, muttering about conspiracies and intimidation, her footsteps echoing in the silent room. The next morning, I fired up the Bearcat and took it for a drive, nodding to neighbors who waved back with genuine smiles. Maple Grove Lane felt right again, a place where community trumped control, where folks valued peace over petty power plays. The Bearcat, my old partner from countless missions, sat proudly in the driveway, a testament to battles fought and won, even in retirement. The neighborhood had spoken, and Karen's reign was over. For the first time in weeks, I felt truly at home, knowing the street belonged to us all again, not just one woman's vision of perfection. As I sipped my coffee, watching the morning sun climb higher, I couldn't help but think about the irony. Karen had seen the Bearcat as a threat, a symbol of chaos in her orderly world. But to me, it was a shield, a reminder of duty, resilience, and survival. It wasn't just a truck, it was a piece of my life, a story etched